You're listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name's Andrew Mackay-Smith. Hope you're well, regardless of where you are around the globe with this bloody awful COVID-19 virus going around. Please stay indoors, stay isolated, stay safe, look after the elderly. Please do that. Anyway, down to business. Who have I got coming up for you? I've got a bloody good one, actually. I really enjoyed this conversation with the great Ross Friedman, a.k.a. Ross the Boss, the former guitarist in Manowar. He's still in the Dictators, and of course he's got his own eponymously titled band, Ross the Boss. And they've got a new album out. It's called Born of Fire. One of my favourite albums of 2020, without a doubt. We talk about a whole bunch of stuff here, not least of all promoting this extraordinary release. Really hope you enjoy this one. Here he is, Ross the Boss.
Andrew.
Hello, mate. How's things?
How are you, buddy?
Mate, I'm good. I'm hoping you're surviving this bloody corona thing and making your businesses, or as managing as best as you possibly can, no doubt, with the enforced lockdowns and everything that's going on.
It's a shit show, bro.
Yeah, I know, mate. Yeah.
It's a shit show for everyone. Where are you, UK?
No, Australia.
Australia. Ah.
Yeah, so we've just had, the only thing, mate, that's still going for us is that I've got two young kids, mate, so they're still going to school, and I'm happy for them to do that. But, mate, outside of that, mate, we've just been told to stay inside. Non-essential services such as shopping centres and malls and all that sort of stuff have been closed down.
But you guys don't have it so bad there. I mean, it hasn't really, how many cases do you got in Australia?
Oh, I don't even think it's 1,000 yet, but you know, like we've got public health care. So what happens is, as soon as anybody gets sick, mate, they're on the hospital doorstep, and it's a massive issue, mate, just to try to manage the loads. I think even at the moment, with people thinking they've got the virus when they don't.
Even though they have a simple cold or something like that, you know?
Absolutely, that's the issue, mate. And there's poor bastards in the emergency wards and in the public hospitals here.
They're overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's a shit show for everybody. Believe me, New York. I'm in New York. I'm in Ground Zero here, and we're really. I mean, you know, every tourist in the world came here, especially from Iran and China.
Yeah.
And you know, and China just those people are just, that government is just. The Chinese government is just they're just pricks, man.
They're fucking corrupt as shit, mate, and they're assholes.
They're corrupt shit. They're corrupt as shit, and they let those markets, those people have those markets where they're eating fucking,
centipedes and bats and shit. Yep.
They're eating whatever they can eat. I mean, and believe me, I love the Chinese people. I mean, they're good people. They're a beautiful culture. But they eat fucking anything that is put in front of them. I mean, it's just disgusting what these people eat, and I guess they're forced to eat it almost. It's eating exotic shit. They've been doing that forever. I mean,
it's just the storage conditions. I don't know. It's like, where do they get this shit from?
Some of the animals are quivering, and dogs are, they fry dogs live.
Yeah, I've seen that video. They're horrible. Yeah.
They don't fucking care about nothing, man. And that's why we have this. And that's what happened. I got memos from the government from 2009 about this whole thing. And it's just the same. It's the same thing. These people are just out of fucking control. They're out of control.
Yeah, and it's, mate, in Sydney here in particular, it's a bit like New York in that, I mean, I don't want to get the figure wrong, mate, but I think there's up to something like 800,000 or 900,000, almost 1 million Chinese in Sydney at any given time.
I know. I was thinking about.
Well, at Sydney, you've been to Sydney many times, mate. I was born in Sydney, right? So it's very different from when I was born down there, mate. And a lot of Chinese, and I don't have a fucking racist bone in my body, brother. My wife's half Filipino, half Croatian. My kid's a mixed heritage, whatever.
I couldn't care less.
But you know what I'm saying, Ben, but I mean, fuck, I mean, you can't have such a massive influx of people like you've got and not expect to experience some sort of, mate, let's call it what it is. It's a catastrophe that we've got right now, and the Chinese people have a social metric score, so they can't talk out against the Chinese government, even in Australia or the US, mate. Otherwise, it affects the family back home.
Yeah, the problem is that they knew in November what this was. They knew it. And their doctors were trying to warn the West were jailed, and they're dead now.
Yeah, that poor
Straight.
bastard, the whistleblower doctor's dead,
Right.
long dead, isn't he? And this is the thing, mate.
They knew, and they didn't say anything to anybody. Mike Pompeo, our Secretary of State, said, "Listen, if the Chinese government came to us in November and said, 'We've got this problem, could you help us?' They said we would have helped them in 5 seconds. We would have had the best doctors in the world there trying to help.
Yeah,
They kept it quiet. They
yeah,
kept it fucking quiet, and
yeah.
they're responsible for it, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, the conditions of the people certainly led to it, but the responsibility is ultimately the Chinese government's. And there
Right.
was a statistic recently. I'm across so much news media, so I can't remember the source, but apparently it was if they'd only notified the U.S. authorities, the West, Europe, Australia, 2 weeks before they did, we could have contained it.
That's
Apparently,
right.
did you hear that one?
95%.
Yeah,
Yep, 95% contained. It would have been, and
yeah.
just unbelievable. It's just the recklessness of it all. It's just I don't know what to say.
Well, I think we've got
I don't know.
to. I think we've got to go back to having sovereign borders again. So no more EU and all this bullshit where people can just travel across borders without scrutiny. And this is the issue. It's
Well,
you know,
our president was right, 100% right
yeah,
with his borders, and everyone called him a racist, even back on January 31st when he closed the borders from Chinese.
yeah,
Our first case was detected January 21st in the United States,
yeah,
and the board he stopped the influx from Chinese from on January 31st.
yeah. Well,
Can you imagine?
I think you've got the right guy in office. I think we've got the right guy in office in Australia too, with strong border protection policies, and that's just about keeping people safe from harm. That's really all that's about, and also documenting who the hell's coming in. And if you can't do that, you can't contain something like this. And people on the left,
That's
especially the
right.
extreme left, need to get into their fucking thick skulls. You know,
Did you see that? Did you see that fucking idiot fucking mayor of Bergamo? That one of those Italian cities that he instituted hug a Chinese,
what
like
an
back in
asshole. Yeah, what an
yeah
asshole.
yeah
Yeah.
hug a Chinese because we're not racist.
Yeah.
Great, you're not.
Yeah,
All right, great.
it's not a, I got to tell you, mate. Remember, like up until 3 weeks ago, the climate change thing was front and mind of every mainstream media outlet and all the lefties and all the rest of it. How
Oh yeah.
quietly that has gone.
Oh God.
It's
Yeah,
not important anymore. Apparently, Greta's not
I know.
important anymore.
Believe me, I get so much shit from the left, but I mean, I
Mm,
have a lot of friends on the left, but they, I have a good relationship with them because I'm not like an overtly Ted Nugent type of guy.
hmm
But I mean, the case for strong borders. No one's talking about that no more, huh? No.
Mate, it'll go back to it. It has to, and that's why I said Trump will get in again, and that's
Yeah,
great.
sure.
He'll get in again because he needs to. Because you simply imagine having Joe Biden and his team and
Oh God,
Alexandria Ocasio Cortez managing this shit.
they
Imagine
don't
that.
know where they are. They don't know. He doesn't know where he is. He's got dementia. You
Yeah.
know. I mean, look. I believe that this is gonna. There's enough time for the economy when this flattens. There's enough time for our economy to come snapping back,
Hmm.
and in November. And I think I think Trump is gonna level Joe Biden. He's gonna level him.
Oh, it'll be embarrassing for Biden, won't it? Total
Yeah, because
embarrassment.
it's going to be like it's going to be like Reagan Mondale. Remember that?
No, it's God. That's the back in
It's
the
a little,
eighties,
it's
isn't
a
it?
little
Yeah.
too far. It's a little too far for you. Okay.
I'm 41. I remember most, but yeah, sort
Oh,
of.
that's right.
Yeah, I remember
Everyone I
most.
talk to is a lot younger.
But that's great, mate. And look, I got to. I'll talk about the music because I've got to tell you, mate. I really, I am enjoying this album. So Chip sent it through to be on Thursday or Friday,
Right.
and I had to count, mate, that it's your fourth album. And I mean,
Yes.
I think you've got your name to something like 40 official releases or something like that. I really didn't realize how prolific you'd been over the last 40 years or so, 45 years or so. Um, and look, I've got to say, look, I'm not really a Manowar fan anymore for obvious
Right.
reasons,
I
but
can't. Yeah.
your shit I still love. I'm never going to bag any of the stuff that you played in, or probably up until 1996 with the band. I know you weren't in the band then, but I think they still had the
88. 88 was my last year.
88 was your last year. They still sort of kept
Kings
it.
of Metal.
Yeah, that's right. Kings of Metal, but Joey was still sort of borrowing a lot of your ideas for years afterwards, kind of like what Metallica did with Dave Mustaine, if you know what I'm saying.
Oh,
So I actually think Blood Sworn is definitely your best solo album. I think you've taken the ideas a few steps further on this, because the first thing that I noticed, yeah, the song quality's there, but mate, the recording quality, holy shit. That's my first question for you. Look, as an indie, it's never easy to capture your sound the way that you've done on this album, but how did you do it, man? Because I remember your live guitar tone. It actually sounds like you've captured your live guitar tone.
Everyone compliments me on my guitar tone, and the thing is, I'm like the guy that just takes my guitar and plugs it right into the amp, and I get my sound out of my amp and my guitar and my fingers and my heart and my brain. It's just a thing that I've always done in my life, that you can. But people say, like, I just was talking to my boy Albert Bouchard from Blue Oyster Cult this morning. He's gonna play drums on the new Dictators stuff.
Nice, beautiful. Yep.
Yeah, and I was in a band called the Brain Surgeons with him, and he goes, no matter where you are, no matter what you play through, everyone knows it's you. I could tell it's you a mile away.
Yeah.
And I go, well, that's a great sign. I mean, my sound this time, I used you want to know what I did?
Yeah, tell me. Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I used Engel Powerball 2, 100 watt, with a Marshall cabinet. Then I used a EVH 50 with a Marshall cabinet. Then I used I use a Digidesign 11 rack, and I've customized my sound on it, and I use that too. So I had all these signals, 3 signals ripping, and I mean, we worked on the mic placements, and we worked on the tone. Everything was any one of those signals could have stood up on the record, but I had 3 of them. And when I sent that to Sieb Lieberman from Ordinal Gain, who mixed the record, I think I haven't even asked him what he did. I didn't want to know. Honestly, I don't want to know what he did and what he used, even if he replaced it. But he didn't replace it. I know that. And I think he just enhanced it. I just think that the sound that I got is just, I don't know.
It's pretty perfect, man. It's near to perfect. I've got to tell you, I listen to a lot of new shit, man, but I'm really drawn to your guitar tone. Being a guitarist and bassist, mate, I love hearing gnarly, heavy metal guitar. And this is, I reckon, in spirit, mate. You've always had a lot of spirit. Just before we got on the call, I was watching a lot of your old Dictators videos, and, mate, you haven't changed, really.
No.
It's great.
I don't think I have. I mean, I've remained true to who I am, and I'm like, my guitar, that's what it is. I think I'm in my room here. I got about 15 guitars. I mean, I could probably get that sound out of, they're all set up. I get it out of any one of those guitars.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah. You're like Keith Richards.
I'm from the school of Angus Young. Me and him were buddies. We came up at the same time. And I'm in the school of just plug in and go. As a boy, I used to go to the Fillmore East and watch B.B. King and Freddie King Albert, and those guys, Johnny Winter. They just come on and plug into the with their chord on. Like, where's the amp? And that's kind of like Chuck Berry. That's the kind of thing that I was. I said, if you can't get your sound just by plugging into an amp, you don't need any enhancers on it. Well, I don't put anyone down for using pedals and stuff like that. It's good. I'm not, whatever gets it for you.
Yeah.
Go for it. I'm not one of those snobby guys. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm like Angus Young. You just plug in and go. Yeah. Don't think about it. Just do it. Tweak that amp. I know how to tweak amps so I hit the sweet spot of an amp. It's not too. Yeah. You got to know how to back it off. And work it and round it up, and you have to know how to mic an amp. You got that. But that pretty much is it. Just put a mic on my amp. That's what you got to do. That's what people do. My sound man goes, it's unbelievable. He can't believe it. This guy Renee, and he just, he loves it. He loves miking me. He loves mixing me. And I think as far as guitar tones, I mean, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
It's
Well, it's just you, mate. And it's, as I say, I was watching those Dictators videos, and man, you stand, I think it's right in saying stage right. So when you're looking at the
yeah,
video, you're saying on stage right there. And mate, you're kind of out of the limelight a bit, which is a shame back in the Dictators back in the day. But I mean, there's one of those, when I say out of the limelight, you're one of those guitarists who just, but when it comes in, you can't help but go, where the hell are you? Okay, there you go. The video guy just wasn't quite capturing you in some of
oh
those
yeah,
old
like
videos.
from Steve.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I know what you're talking about because I always sat up on. I mean, I'm on that side,
Hmm.
and that was the side that was pretty much buried all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
And Scott was like right there in everyone's faces, and I'm like, what the
yes.
fuck? I mean, and it's not that I'm putting my buddy Scott down, but that's just the way the theater was and CBGB's was,
Hmm.
and we played there 35 times, and we closed the place, and
Yes.
that's just the way it worked out. I mean, but there are other videos. I mean, uh, Winterland and other stuff like that. But it's just
But there's one where the one where you're shredding, and yourself and the singer are looking at each other, mate, and you're just shredding, and you're looking off practically into the corner of the room, but you've got this gnarly lead guitar hammering over the top of this awesome. You call it power punk, really, I suppose, really, wouldn't you? I mean, in
yeah.
some ways, because it was very MC5, very Iggy and the Stooges.
Oh, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
for someone like myself who isn't that familiar with the Dictators' music, I feel like I've got a lot of catching up to do.
No, it's truly great band, and I'm glad to report that we're going to record it. We've started again. I've done three tunes already,
Nice.
and yeah. So the new original Dictators, minus Mr. Manitoba, and me, Scott, Andy, and Albert on the recordings. So we'll see. As far as touring drummer, we'll have to see.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah. Hey, I'll just go back to talking about By Blood Sworn again because,
You mean Born of
sorry, yeah, Born of Fire. Sorry, Born of Fire. By Blood Sworn was the previous one, but this new
Yes,
one.
sir.
Okay, so I talked about the songwriting before, but let's go into a bit of detail here because you've come up with some stuff, and now that I've listened to the Dictators, I can actually hear the link. I can really hear the link in that you've managed to blend. And I'm really familiar with your solo stuff and your Manowar stuff, but this is the first time in years I've really heard someone really nail a blend of melody and straight up raw punk-infused heavy metal. And this is really reminiscent of the stuff that you wrote with Joey back in the day. And I reckon,
Yeah.
and I don't think I'm going out on a limb here, but Denied by the Cross might just be the catchiest and gnarliest song you've ever written. And I know
Yep.
I haven't listened to everything, and I'll say that, but certainly all of the stuff that I've heard. Now, that cut is stadium quality. And that's something that Joey hasn't been able to do for fucking, I don't know how long, ever since you were in the band, maybe that long. So
No, it's only been, I don't know, it's only been 32, 1988. When was that? It's only been 12 and 20, 32 years. I
yeah,
don't know.
32 years.
Is that a lot of time? I don't know.
These days, yeah. I mean, but look, but do you feel the same way? Do you feel? I feel like as though I'm not going to say it's a renaissance because you never went away and you've always produced quality music, mate. But you're coming into a really rich vein of form here.
Thank you for that wonderful thought. I mean, the thing about the band is we've been together with this lineup with Steve Bolognese on drums, which was possibly the finest drum performances I've ever. I mean, the drumming on just ridiculous, and he having a drummer like that and having a band like that, having Mike LePond, who I think he's the best bass player in the world right now, and
Nice.
having a guy like Mark is so versatile on his vocals, and he can, you're getting everything from him, and having a band like that is really the strength of this record. It's not just me. Well, it's me, but it's not just me. My band is I would say probably one of the greatest bands now, and I give them the credit because they brought out the best in me. We brought out the best in each other.
Yeah.
When, and we played these touring, blah blah blah, and that's why we're bummed now. We can't do nothing. Our whole April tour was canceled in Europe.
Yeah.
So, but what can we do? But anyway, for the staying positive, the record the songwriting came together because we had to. We had deadlines to meet, and it
Yeah.
wasn't even 2 years since by Bloodsworn, the
Yeah.
previous album. And the label goes, "You got to make a record." And I'm going, Andrew. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? I mean, really? I got to make another record? I mean, I don't want to make another record, must I? And they'll, yeah,
Yes.
if you want to tour big like you just did, you have to make another record. I go, okay, all right. So I go, so let's try to do this a different way. We can't grind it out in a rehearsal room because we're not together.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did was we started with our demos. We started asking for contributions from everybody. Everyone contributed songs, and we worked these songs up. We worked the arrangements up, which is the most important thing. We worked the arrangements up, and like Mike LePond was pretty much, if it wasn't for him, I mean, he's so important on this record. So we worked these records up, we worked these songs up, and I got a song from Stu from Death Dealer, who's an Australian fellow.
Mm-hmm.
He's Stu Marshall.
Nice.
You know Stu?
No, I don't. I don't know him, but I'm just glad you're connecting with some Aussies. It's good to hear.
Oh yeah, no, he's in my metal band. He's in a band called Death Dealer with me.
Okay.
He wrote Maiden of Shadows.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, so we got contributions from everybody, and we put these songs together, and we cut them as the demos were. I said, so Steve went into Steve went in. We went into the studio, and Steve cut 12 tracks the way they appeared on the demo. We screwed around with some of the arrangements here and there, but pretty much the way we brought the demos into the studio was the way we recorded them.
Mm-hmm.
So once the drums were down, then we started the guitar, rhythm guitar, bass, rhythms, leads, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, the pyramid. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
Built it up. Yeah.
And to our surprise, and we wasn't surprised, the sound was so tight. We're so tight. We're so united. So everybody's pushing for the same thing. We got heavier. We got louder. We got faster. And just I think the record fucking exploded. I think we just nailed it. We just nailed it on the fucking head, bro.
You did, yeah, you did, man. Maybe that's that spontaneity, that punk heritage that you bring. You really are one of the US punk originals. People forget that. I've of course had heard of the Dictators, but it's that spontaneity and that you bring to heavy metal, and you capture the essence and an energy and a fire. It's a good name for the album there too, Born of Fire, because there's a lot of fire on this one here. So is this the band's obviously gelled? Is this the same one that you toured with in Australia in 2019? Yes. It is the same.
Yeah, yes, we just were there last in November. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the band. And, that's the band that's been destroying crowds. We've been destroying festivals. If we do the Manowar thing, it's like we do that, and then we add like 3 of our new songs, and so pretty much that's where we've been. I was talking to a guy from Sweden Rock Magazine, and he goes, "You guys are known as festival wreckers." Really?
Oh,
yeah, because we
not a bad rep.
We go on and did so. I mean, so listen, it's hard work. It's nose to the grindstone. It's no ego trips from anyone, because I won't tolerate that, because I don't do it. I'm not like a guitar player that stands on the stage, one side of the stage, and the rest of the band is on the other side of the stage, like some guy we know. And, I don't do that. I think that's bullshit. I'm a team player, man. I think that the band is as good, you're as good as your band, man. And
yeah,
I give all the credit to my band.
Well, you're a class act, brother, for that, but I mean, look, you can hear that cohesion, though. There's a cohesion here within this that doesn't happen unless you do have an agreement before you enter a studio. Being a musician, I know that, you see. So I've done sessions in the past where I haven't even known the name of the people that I've been playing with.
Right.
And I listen back and it feels a bit disconnected, and I don't have the same feelings toward those recordings.
Right. Right. I know. I mean, listen, when you're doing sessions, it's, I've done plenty of those. You just go in, I go in, and then play, what I hear, and that's it. Okay, you like it, good. It's like, that's just the way it is. But when you're doing your own project, and you can have, it's more personal. I mean, especially you're doing your own music. Jesus Christ. I mean, you got, you know,
Yeah, indeed.
that's what.
Yeah. Hey, look, with everything going on, I mean, how is it's? I suppose it's through interviews with people like myself, podcasters, blog writers the world over. Are you just going to step up the interviews because the touring thing is not a possibility? Because I'd really hate for this album to be buried, man.
Well, you know what? I mean, I've done more interviews on this record than Chip has really hooked me up. I've done, Jesus, no, I mean, 50 interviews. I mean, I've really done. If you know wants anyone to talk to me, I'd be glad to talk to anybody.
I think I'll hook you up Dennis Gray from the Australian Rock Show. You probably know him. He's interviewed you a couple of times, but I'll message him, and if it's okay with you, man, because I know he'd love
I
to.
will. I would be an honor to talk to any one of your friends. And I think that what's happening now with this record is that slowly but surely people are really waking up to it. I mean, this is not just I'm not touting my own product, but this is not an ordinary record. And
Agreed.
I think it's a special record with a special bunch of songs at a special time in metal and special time in the world. And that listen, we're going to pick it up when everything gets back to normal, hopefully, and we're gonna do our thing, and we'll get it going. They can't our band. They can't bury me. No,
No, it won't happen. No,
no,
too strong, mate. You've
I
been through
refuse.
too much.
I refuse to lose. Believe me, I refuse to lose. I refuse to lose, and we need warriors, not worriers.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, we do. It's times of reticence that the people with backbone, men or women, stand up and choose to be counted. It's in
That's
these
right.
moments in history that it actually happens. You can either choose to, and I'm not talking about hiding by physically hiding. I'm
No,
talking about what you choose to do with your life.
that's right.
How positive you choose to be, because that's at the end of the day, man. We're all literally. This is the first time in anybody's collective lifetimes, mate, that we're all literally all globally in this together.
That's right.
So.
So
But
that being said, I'm going to go donate blood tomorrow. So
oh, good on you, mate. Yeah, yeah. No, well, you got to do what you got to do, haven't you? It's all karma at the end of the day. Put it out there.
yep.
And look, when we last had a chat, I think it was the day before or something. I was very close to it anyway. You'd finished up doing that excellent show with KK, and
Yeah.
he's since put together a band featuring ex-Judas Priest bandmates, and I'm really happy for him, and I'm so excited for him that he's done that because
Yeah. Oh
yeah,
Me
and
too.
yeah, you go.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. We were honored that KK played with us, and it was kind of like the first time in 10 years. This can't be. I mean, I just was saying to each other, man, holy shit! And it was a great thing that it happened, and um, I knew it was going to do. I knew something was going to happen. I go, listen, I said, because I had offers for him to join us to play tour shows. How much money? I mean, it was like, and then I don't want to play. I don't want to tour. Blah 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 blah. But then he did. I think the spark got to him. I said, KK, we played 4 songs, and I want to. It went by like a lightning. Let's play more. I mean, and he goes, yeah, man, I know what you're saying, man. So he's like, yeah. So when I heard that he was putting a band together with Ripper and Dave Elfson and
Yep.
that whole thing, and then he did. I said, they're not going to tour. Watch this. They're not going to tour. And then the next thing is a record. Okay, so then I know they're going to do a record, which is great. And as far as touring, he's like, I don't know. I don't know. He's a little lazy. I mean, I don't know. I don't think he's willing to do what I do. So
no, he's a bit old. He's almost. I think is he over 70 at this point? I think he'd be close to it, wouldn't he? If not over.
A little old. I mean, listen, I'm 66, but I'm not.
Shit, is that right?
That's right. Man. I'm 1954. I'm 66, but I'm not really 66.
You sound like in your late 40s, mate.
People just can't believe my energy level, and I'm a workaholic, and I don't care really about my comfort when I'm on the road. I just don't give a shit. As long as my band is taken care of, I'm willing to do things that other people will not do, will not put up with, and but look what's happening. So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
you know.
Were you a bit like what KK was doing there? Have you ever had, and I suppose it must have happened, but promoters reach out to you wanting you to? I mean, you wrote the early Manowar records for God's sakes, and
Oh,
to
yeah, Joey and I did, yes.
but you know what I'm saying. Your fingerprint is all over them because the band's sound noticeably changed once you left, or a couple of albums
Yeah,
after you left, after they ran out of
yeah,
your ideas, really. But
sure.
have you had a lot of promoters say, "Look, we want you to play the early Manowar albums, one or two of them, just front to back"? You know how that thing's a big deal these
Well, that's
days.
what we just did. We just did that. We did a whole tour of Hail to England.
Was that in Australia that you bought that down? Because I thought that was
Yes.
the Ross the Boss show that you
No,
brought down.
that was Hail to England, and
Yeah.
everyone knew it was going to be, we're going to feature Hail to England, and a lot of the shows we did the whole thing from front to back.
Hmm.
I mean, it's only 35 minutes, so
Yeah.
so we were able to play a lot more of the classics and the standards, and we play, and the way we play is we don't bullshit on stage. We don't talk. We don't explain things. We just come on the stage and let it rip.
Yeah.
Like Motorhead and ACD. We just that in the Dictator. That's what we do. We just let it rip,
Hmm.
and that's the punk ethic. There's no fucking bullshit, man. I do not tolerate that. And
Hmm.
the way we go on stage, we just go on stage united and just you know.
Oh, I can tell. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry for not realizing that from the perspective that it's. I try to get out as often as I can, but I've got two young kids, and I've only
Yeah, don't worry about it. That's
because
okay.
they're both school age these days. So I can get in the last 6 months, man. I've caught up with the guys in Corrosion of Conformity, Metal Church.
Uh-huh.
It's been
Yeah,
unbelievable.
yeah, that's great.
Yeah, but it's just been difficult for me to get out. Now I remember a little bit about that, but yeah, that's the. What's your thoughts on that whole revisiting the past thing? Do you think it's a positive thing in the fact that you're honouring the music that you wrote back then, or would you much rather play the Ross the Boss material?
I would much rather play the new material all the time, but I understand the yearning for people to um, to hear it like it was, you
Hmm.
know, and that's what we do. That's what my band does is perfect and is as it was, without the bullshit. I can understand that, but because people are still listening to those records, and it's like it's never changed. It hasn't
Hmm.
changed. People like I listen to the records that I grew up on. I mean, I listen to Live at Leeds at least once a week. I listen to Sergeant Pepper's, and I listen to Are You Experienced, and I listen to BB King Live at the Regal, and I listen to Muddy Waters Hard Again, and I listen to you know all the stuff that the Beach Boys. I listen to all this stuff that I was I grew up on, and
Hmm.
so I you know whenever I want to hear a great guitar player, I listen to George Harrison. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
I, come on, and or Scotty Moore and Elvis Presley and the real guys.
Oh yeah. Jesus. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Right, right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
whenever because I'm not going to say that the new guys are no good. I will never say that, but I would say that everyone has gotten it from somewhere,
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
and then I'm just like honored to that people listen to me. They've been listening to. I mean, my first record was 1975 with the Dictators, and for people to say I love this record. I can't believe it. And then I love Battle Hymns, and I love it. So, and I love the new one, and I love this, and I just listen.
Hmm.
All I can continue to do is the best I can do, and play every show like it's my last show because
Hmm.
it might be because I might not wake up tomorrow. And when I say that to fans,
Let's hope so.
they hugging me, to crying, and it's like, don't say that, Ross. I go, but that's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you never know. And so I'm honored to play. I'm honored to be in the business, no matter which way it goes. I'm going to be there. My band is going to be there. We're going to continue to make music as long as people want to hear it. And what can I say? I mean, it's just people want to hear the old music. I'm gonna play it for them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now they want to hear the new music. So it's like the best of both worlds. I mean, it's like
Yeah. That's
I got one.
awesome, mate. Yeah. It's
Yeah, I
the,
got one foot there and one foot in the new in 2020. So
Yeah, there's too many artists though that ignore whole swathes of their catalogue, and that is part of your catalogue of work, your broader pantheon. Let's call it that. It's a pantheon. It's a big, great, structure that you've created, mate, made of music. And the thing about that is, mate, you will have some fans like myself who borrow from some of the old. Like, I definitely heard of you when you were in Manowar. That's when my first awareness of you came about. And then hearing you come back out sort of in the mid 2000s or thereabouts with Ross the Boss. It's a real thrill for people like myself because we really cherish those old albums. But
that's great.
I mean, they're an important and integral part of our lives in the day to day, particularly as youth. When you're young and you haven't sort of figured out how to talk to girls and all that sort of shit, music's your outlet. Really
Yes.
important outlet, that one there, and it bonds with you and it becomes part of your spirit. Manowar, your early Manowar, Deicide, Megadeth, Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, Faith No More, great, all these bands, and without them, King's X, Living Colour, I could go on, all these great
Of course.
bands, and they become part of your psyche, and they actually inform who you are as a person to this very day. That's how important heavy metal is, and your
I believe
contribution
so.
to it.
I believe so, and I appreciate that. Yes, we are. Just like I have what's important to me is the music I grew up on. The music that you grew up on is equally as important to you. It shaped you and to what you are.
Indeed.
And so I mean that's where we are. I mean it's there's no doubt about it. I mean we're the product of our influences.
Especially as musicians, mate. I
Yes,
couldn't live without it.
absolutely.
I couldn't live without even like you, mate. I have to play music. It's something that I have to do. I have to be in front of a crowd playing. If I'm
Yep.
not, I don't. The most satisfied I ever feel from an individual pursuit is from music. Nothing.
You know what? I was talking to a friend of mine, and like I'm going, you don't know. He's not a musician. I mean, he goes, there is no feeling that I can express to you what I get when I'm performing. There is no drug, there is no medicine, there is no drink, there is no woman, there is no. I just can't describe the feeling that I get when I perform. It's just like it's magic. I mean, the adrenaline rush that I get still is just if I could bottle it up, I'd be a multi-billionaire.
That's right. Yes. Yeah, I think Steve Harris said something similar. He said if you could bottle it and sell it, he wouldn't. He'd be a billionaire. But who knows what it is?
It's true. He's absolutely right. He knows, and because that's the way I feel about it. It's listen, if I'm like I can just playing is just a beautiful thing, and be able to have done this all for this long and maintain it, and there's been lows and highs and lows and of course, but just to keep going, and especially now with this new record, I'm like.
Yeah, you're on fire. Yeah, you're on, mate. You literally are on fire. It's such a great album title.
I'm like. I just like. I got to pinch myself, because we worked so hard, and it was like in the middle of all that hard work and deadlines and just this and change this and Mark, I need hooks, I need hits, I need hooks, I need metal hooks, and that's the one thing, his genius. He's provided us with these great lyrics and these great metal hooks and fight the fight and denied by the cross, that was all him, all those lyrics, and he's a genius kid. I mean, it's so much talent, and so I said when we were doing this, and when we got to make this by the AFM needs the parts in December, I go what? And we had to go to Australia in November, what? And we had 70,000 tons of metal to play, what? And it's like,
yep,
we should be working on the freaking record. I mean, it's like, so, and my engineer, he had to go to Germany for some touring because he's in a band called Blood Feast.
Okay.
He's like CJ Sosha, and he's like, took my computer and all the parts, and he was doing editing in his hotel room and feeding him to Sieb at the same time. I mean, it's like, oh my God. I mean, it was like, we made it. And once it was done, I said, guys, once this is done, and once we heard the first mix from Sieb, it was like, holy shit. It was like, uh-oh, I think we fucking nailed it, boys. And
yes, you're onto something.
For a change, it was so beautiful. I can't think of anything I would change on that record. I mean, It's like looking back on, like how you do the recordings and looking back. Oh, I wish I changed this. I wish I changed that.
For sure.
There's a lot of them.
Not well.
That's why you do your best at that time. You're just, and you don't take no for an answer. I think that you can just, you do your best. I mean, you really do your best, and you believe in it, and with all your heart. I think that's the key.
Yeah, that's all you can do, but also being true to yourself too, which you've always been.
Absolutely.
That's the big thing right there. Doesn't matter what sort of music you're playing with. It's funk, disco, jazz, heavy metal,
That's it.
blues,
I don't care
whatever.
what kind of music there is. You got to. There's a way to play, and if you can play it from your heart, and that's what the blues guys showed me. And these guys are man. BB King would say more to me. He would say more to young Ross the Boss, young Ross Friedman from the Bronx. He would say more to me than a billion notes with his 3 or 4 notes. So
there's an honesty. It's a communication, isn't it? There's an honesty there, and it's like I love Yngwie, so I'm not shitting on Yngwie here, but there's some of his albums where it's just note vomit, and it doesn't speak to me. But some of that early material, the first 3 albums, for example, I listen to all the time still.
He's a great player. I mean, we all know that, and he'll tell you so. But he'll he's fantastic.
Yeah. He'll tell you he's a great player as well. Don't worry.
Yeah, he will tell you. Yes.
God bless his cotton socks. We love Yngwie. We truly do. He's very tightly strong.
My father told me, well, he wasn't. My father, God bless him, he's not with us with me anymore. And he would go, Ross, let them tell you you're great. You don't have to tell them. If you have to tell people how good you are, you're not very good.
Yeah.
He goes, let them tell you. And I never forgot that from my father. He's, because Dad, you know what? You were right.
Yeah, that's very sage advice right there. It's very sage advice.
Don't. He said, you don't tell people how good you are. That's why I like saying, Joey, don't tell people how good you are, how fast you are. I'm the fastest bass player in the world. Who gives a fuck? I mean, really. That and 2.50 cents gets you on the subway these days. I mean,
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I know. It's interesting. Yeah, it's very interesting.
Don't tell anybody. Let them tell you. Let them tell you. And that's been the way I've handled myself my whole life.
Yeah. Well, long may you continue to reign, brother. And look, I better let you go. I've got to get these kids up and ready, mate. But before I do, mate, are you comfortable with everything we've spoken about for me to release it as on my podcast series?
Sure. Of course.
Wonderful, mate. I love you, mate. That's awesome. Yes. I don't always get that. Sometimes I get, no, we need to remove this and stuff. And
I mean, I didn't say anything horrible, did I?
Of course not. No, nothing that wouldn't stand up in court, put it that way.
Okay, man. That's good.
All right, brother. Look, I love your work. You can tell that. Long may you continue to reign. And, mate, when all this bullshit Corona COVID-19 thing is done, mate, I really hope to see you down here again.
Everybody stay safe. Do what you got to do. You can tell any of your journalist friends if they want to talk to me. I'd be more than glad to. I have plenty of time. So,
yeah, I'll let Dennis know, mate. He'll be. I'm sure he'll be very happy to. I'll hook him up with Chip. Yeah, no dramas.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Andrew. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Likewise, mate. Thanks again, mate. Talk to you soon again.
Bye.
Catch You've been listening to the Scars and Guitars podcast series that syndicates for the A-List Online, and my name, of course, is Andrew Mackay-Smith. That interview subject was the great and powerful, the very legendary. I'm borrowing from Joe Rogan there when I say that, but I think it needs to be done because this is all true for Mr. Ross Friedman, aka Ross the Boss. Thanks so much for listening.